live? Yep. Sweet.
Hello, everyone.
Hello everyone. My name's Ace. I'm here with Purely Original, and I'm going to be doing a Twitch integration any % run of Clustertruck.
And I will be commentating for him so he can focus on battling the Twitch chat.
Exactly.
So, for those of you who don't know, this is Clustertruck, which is a frenetic first-person platformer in which your goal is to not touch the ground and make it to the end of the level. It's a relatively new game, came out a couple months ago, and Ace of Spades is without a doubt the best speedrunner our community has.
Thanks.
So, yeah, no problem. So the first few worlds are relatively straightforward, so during this time period I'll cover the different strategies you'll be seeing throughout the run, and then as the levels get more intense, we'll sort of tone down the commentary a little bit, give Spades some time to focus on the movement.
Right. So, I guess we'll start the timer in, oh, whoops. We'll start the timer in 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, alright. Starting off, World 1 is the desert. And in the desert, it's fairly straightforward, because a lot of the levels are just straight lines with varying obstacles, and it's to give players a chance at familiarizing themselves with the controls. And so the majority of the skills you'll be seeing in play during the desert is most notably strafing, which is angling your camera like 45 degrees so that you can get an added speed boost, because when you move diagonally it adds speed for moving forward as well as moving sideways. And also occasionally you'll see something that is informally called a truck boost, where you jump off of the side of a truck to increase your speed, or the back of a truck normally to get more height. And by combining all of these things together, you can complete levels faster than you normally would be able to.
Hold on just a second. Is Twitch integration working? Is it posting stuff in the chat?
On the screen.
Well, yeah, it's up on my screen, but there's no votes going through. So I don't know if
votes are
it,
going through? Do you have the right stream key?
It should. Yeah, it's not working. It didn't post anything in the chat. That's weird.
Well, you know what this can actually end up being is this can be, so just in case that their fans wouldn't have any viewers in their streams, Landfall Games thought ahead, and there is a random vote distributed at each point when there is a viable vote. So if we're having technical difficulties and there isn't time to fix it, which, I mean, I'm not sure if there will be time to fix it, but what this will turn into is sort of like a roulette of challenges, which in some ways is even more exciting. But hopefully we'll be able to fix that. It looks like we're going to do that right now.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of fixing it.
Oh boy. So the way Twitch integration works is, I mean, I don't know the actual coding behind it, but by sending in votes, it randomizes a result with variations between making the levels easier and the levels more difficult. So depending on how you guys are feeling about either my commentary or the play, you can choose to either punish our lovely runner or, you know, make his life a little bit easier. I will also be participating in the chat if we can figure this out, so I can make his run more difficult so it lasts longer, so I have more time to shine in the commentary position. And I encourage you to help me out and make his run more difficult. And some modifiers that will make the game more difficult for our lovely runner is heavy gravity is always a kick in the pants, as well as laser trucks. I think those are the two. Oh, and what's it called? Inverted controls, which basically swaps your horizontal camera controls. So when you move your mouse to the left, your camera controls right, and that one will seriously eat away at your soul. So starting off, it looks like we have laser trucks, as the roulette wheel has decided to give
I'm still
Ace of Spades.
Trying to see if I can fix it.
Really? Which stream is ahead?
Oh, there we go. There we go.
It looks like we got it working. Both streams are like absurdly behind for me,
so
but in different ways.
If we can restart the timer, we can go ahead and do that now.
I'm gonna refresh these streams because
I'm
experienced. All right, it looks like it's working. Awesome.
All right, Rezi, we're gonna restart in 3, 2, 1, go.
Wham bam. So the way you vote is you just vote for number. In the chat you put number 1, number 2, or number 3. And there's no limit to how many times a single person can vote, so as long as the mods are okay with it, and I don't mean to make your jobs more difficult, mods, but as long as it's okay within the rules of the stream, then you can spam numbers to get more votes in, but I don't recommend spamming. Be polite to the mods. But that being said, moving on. The desert world is relatively straightforward. It kind of plays with the levelness of the ground, as in there will be like a few hills here and there. I don't know about you, Spades, but the desert is probably my most favorite world to speedrun in this game, just due to how smooth the movement is. You know, you get
I would have to say that mine is actually winter, just because I love the skips.
Oh yeah, the skips in winter, when we get to them, those are really truly a sight to see. And one thing you'll be noticing is that right now there's like a bar in the ability of the screen, which is that's the levitation regeneration bar. And in Clustertruck there are a whole bunch of different abilities, and which is actually the category we're running. In Clustertruck, any percent just means for any ability percent, and the other category is no ability percent. And Spades is opting in to use the portable truck ability and the levitation ability. And the reason he's using these two abilities is by tapping out levitate, he can prolong the amount of time he's in the air, which allows him to traverse obstacles quickly and effectively, as well as get some particular skips that you can't use elsewhere. And this is accentuated by the portable truck, which you can use as a sort of island rock. Oh, wow. Which you can use as an island rock, just as a way of refreshing your jump and or a little bit of your ability bar, which is a pretty valuable skill. And later on you'll see a technique being used called a portable truck boost. And how that works is, quick shout out to the exploding trucks for making life a little bit more difficult. It is essentially, as you can see, when you touch the truck it turns red, and sort of like a game of hot potato, you do not want to be standing on it when it goes off, because that explosion will take out your ankles, and as we all know, ankles are very important for traversing with your feet.
It's not too bad in speedruns, fortunately, because we don't spend much time on one truck. But
that is, yeah.
Can get annoying, for sure.
Point. And so, in this first forest world, you see that jumping off the side of the truck allowed him to clear the fence, and this is something that you'll see in use throughout most of the game in the speedrun. So if you're interested in picking up this speedrun specifically, it's not even that necessarily difficult of a skill to pick up. It just really forces you to understand the way the air control works, which, for those of you who don't know, air control is pretty extensive in this game, which I think helps combat the RNG nature. Because for those of you who don't know, the physics in this game are non-deterministic, and what that means is that every time you start up a level, the trucks will behave differently as it's being calculated as you load it in. And part of what makes this speedrun so much fun, in my opinion, is that you can, as the more you play it, you can find trends in the ways that the level can play out, and each runner has their own particular way they like to address the challenges that they come to face, which I think is a lot of fun.
The first level of Forest is a great example of the trends, where it's like, I knew that truck would be up on the rock at basically every single time, so I can use it to jump over the fence.
Mm-hmm. And fun little fact about this rolling boulder level is, way back in the beta, when this level was first in development, there was a bug where every time you would start the level for the first time after you loaded in a Clustertruck, the rocks would just fly straight up into the air. I have no idea why it happened, but it was always hilarious to see. It's sort of like they realized that it was pointless to try and stop all of the stellar speedrunners that were participating in the beta, and instead they just returned to the rock planet. I mean, I'm not sure necessarily which planet that is, but perhaps maybe in Clustertruck 2 we'll find out, hopefully. So moving on,
because of double
it
gravity.
looks like the vote is landing on double gravity. This is going to make the skips in the winter world very difficult, because the way that the skips in the winter world work is that there's a lot of open space, as the sort of theme in this world is the open-ended nature of the level design.
Man.
And it allows you to traverse easily, which levitation really plays into that, but double gravity is going to put a huge thorn in his side. How are you feeling about the Twitch integration? I know before the run you were feeling a little nervous about the about what that would mean for your times. How do you feel you're doing right now?
Right now, this is actually really good for Twitch integration. I haven't gotten completely screwed by anything yet.
And I love this level. uphill. To me, this level where you're trying to jump upstream reminds me of the eternal struggles of being a fish. As we all know, fish sometimes have to swim upstream to reach their egg-laying grounds, if I remember correctly from the one biology class I took in high school. And on this level 3-9, we'll see the use of the portable truck skip. So I accidentally forgot to explain it earlier in the stream, but the way the portable truck skip works is that every time you go to throw the portable truck, it is very bouncy. And so when it hits a wall, it ricochets off at a high speed. And if you throw the portable truck at a wall and then you have it ricochet and bounce back and hit you, it will send you flying, and you can use that momentum to traverse a large amount of ground insanely quickly. And the funny thing about the portable truck boost skip sort of thing is that it was originally, the portable truck was changed because people were using it to bounce straight up into the air.
What the hell are you doing, dude?
as opposed to going horizontally. And so if anything, I feel like the changes to portable truck actually made it easier to skip levels as opposed to before. But there's been a whole bunch of changes, and I think Clustertruck is in its final sort of update stage in terms of balance and the way things work. Moving on, right now we're in the laser world, which aesthetically, in my opinion, is one of the most pleasing laser worlds. And the way the laser world is structured is it's a combination of cycles as well as precision, as there are, you know, laser gates, laser circles, as well as sort of matrix-styled requirements for dodging, in which, you know, you have very small gaps in which you can move. And levitation is really helpful in this world because it allows you to, once you reach that specific height you want to be in, to jump over or under a laser, you can just use levitation to keep that going. And with the vote of laser trucks going through is very thematic but also very dangerous, because although laser trucks aren't always very dangerous, in this specific level you always want to have a lot of space to navigate, because there isn't that much space to navigate outside of jumping straight up. But the trucks will put a kibosh on that, seeing as how they are all in a straight line, unfortunately. So will require some pretty stellar use of air strafing that I know Spades has inside of him, but I also don't want to give him the classic commentator's curse.
Until laser trucks is over, I'm gonna be going for... Okay, it's over. I was going for a portable truck boost that I was practicing earlier today. It's not implemented in the run officially yet, though.
None of the streams for me are catching up. I'm sorry. I'm trying to...
Yeah, you'll be a little bit behind, but that's understandable.
But I think the most stellar level in the laser world after this one, the laser gate, which there are various ways you can skip these laser gates, but it's very dangerous and not entirely consistent, so it's not always viable necessarily from a speed perspective, as specifically for the levels that are gated like that for the cycles, you lose more time by dying. But in this finer laser level, you have to face the monoliths, which, although they are very imposing, the level was actually made easier because at the very end there would be these two lasers which would sideswipe you and kill you, but the dev opted to take that out. Moving on, we have the medieval world, which is originally the final world in the alpha stage of the game, and it features some of the most chaotic moments you'll see, as there are traps that, you know, giant swinging hammers, pusher traps from the side, launcher traps which push up from under you. I think this is a world that has the most RNG in it, but that being said, it's the most easy to circumvent due to the fact that the structures that the traps are made out of are actually not lethal if you touch them. And although Spades has evolved to the point of not even concerning himself with these traps, as I'm pretty sure at this point he sees the lines of code in the Matrix, so there are safety options if you're playing through casually, which I think is really cool. I like how much personality and style you can showcase in your Clustertruck play. And moving on, thanks to 777, shouts out to hanging out in the stream. We have thin trucks going on. Thin trucks are pretty interesting because it actually makes truck boosting off of the side of trucks easier, but obviously from that perspective of needing a safe place to land, you don't have nearly as much guaranteed space to work with. One little cool effect I like is that when you start off a level, whether you died or you're moving on to a new one, you can sort of see the trucks shrink down, sort of like they went on their own Jenny Craig sort of Weight Watchers diet, which I think, you know, in some ways, I know I could use it. I wish there was a way I could get Twitch chat to just vote to make me thinner, but I don't think the technology is there yet.
One day, man.
But one day. And so moving on with this level, we have the another portable truck skip. This one is significantly more difficult as you have to line things up, but when you land it, you can also see the portable truck fly under your feet. And that right there, that's where the Twitch chat is putting the kibosh on the strats, but actually it just, Spades, it set you up for the even better truck boost. That was perfect.
That was really good, actually. It's been a while since I've hit one that good in a run.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Moving on, we have the ruins, which is sort of like what's the word for it? Sort of like an interim world. It's the most unique aspect of the ruins is its aesthetic, which is very pleasing, you know, old school sort of style. A lot of the concepts in level design of the ruins is that the levels are just long by design, and this is something you see in this world as well as the next world, the sci-fi world. And normally in Clustertruck, deaths aren't too harmful to your overall time, as levels can take anywhere from 10 to 20 or 30 seconds to complete. But in the ruins in the sci-fi world, a death can cost you sometimes upwards of 30 to 45 seconds, depending on how far you get into it. So although Clustertruck is a game that isn't necessarily very punishing on death, these worlds in particular you want to have down, and Ruins has some pretty interesting skips and layouts so that you don't have to worry about death, but Sci-Fi World in particular will put you through the ringer. Some fun little fact about World 6 Level 7 is that these sort of structures you see were put in place to prevent players from skipping it, but even without abilities, it's still possible to skip it with some fancy air strafing, which is kind of funny. That level went through 4 or 5 iterations by the developers just trying to stop skips. You would upload a build of the level and ask people like, hey, can you skip it? And each time we could, and eventually the dev just gave up, which just goes to show you that speedrunners are even more resilient and clever than game designers themselves. Inverted
just turned on and I wasn't paying attention.
Oh god, the old inverted 6-9. That's never something you want to end up with, unfortunately. Thank you, Steven, for putting him through this special, rigorous beginning to the sci-fi world. So actually, I think due to the inverted there, we see a little bit of a modification of the skip, opting in to go for the skip a little bit later, which I think was a good call there. But this, I think the most difficult part about experiencing inverted is it feels like time slows down for the duration of the modification, and it just feels like the entire time you have almost no control over the horizontal axis because you spend so many hours practicing in a certain way, and it just goes straight out the window.
How did I hit that skip while inverted? I'm amazed.
Oh my god.
That was a struggle.
The 7-3 skip was found on accident during a bug, a period of time where there was a bug where you could hit low gravity by loading into a custom level in a certain way, and it turns out that with the right amount of coercion with the portable truck and some levitation, you can actually manage to skip a fairly difficult and inconsistent jump that the level expects you.
Dearly.
Okay.
It was inverted controls, not inverted stage.
Oh, my bad. I should have clarified that.
Chat was asking.
Okay. And so in this 7.4 and 7.5, we see the introduction of the missile launcher, which will mysteriously be upgraded in a way we'll see in the next world. But so one of the funny things about the missile launchers in this world is that the missiles can actually hit you head on and kill you. It's very rare, but it does happen, and it leaves you feeling a little silly when it does. You know, I would always imagine that getting hit in the face with a missile would be painful, but it seems like it just forces you to like reset from the past 30 seconds. So perhaps it's not the most terrible thing in the world, but you know, I don't know. I've never been hit in the face by a missile, and I hope to never have to experience that.
You ever make a mistake and just want to go back in time a little bit to fix it? Just get hit by a missile.
Yeah,
that
just
easy?
hire a dude with a missile launcher to follow you around. If you say something embarrassing at a family gathering over the winter break period, just have a dude shoot a missile at your face and then restart at the beginning of the day. You know, I think that's what the sequel to Groundhog's Day was going to be before they canceled it for whatever reason. I can't imagine. And I'll always, every single time this level is played, this skyscraper setup level reminds me of Kingdom Hearts 2, in which Roxas runs down the skyscraper. And I point it out every time because it's so uncanny and it was done unintentionally. And I gotta go up for bat for all the Clustertruck fans that are also into Kingdom Hearts, which, you know, there's like 3 or 4 of us. We hang out every other weekend, but, you know, maybe if you want to join sometime, you can.
Boy,
you can come hang out
min-max.
with us. Oh man, so min-max, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the ability, it forces you to always move forward at a set speed, no matter what, and it forces you to use your ability at every opportunity that you physically can on the frame. With levitation, it's not as bad as it could be, but it does mess up your ability to go as fast as you might want, and thankfully it kicked in late enough that, excuse me, that Spades was able to complete the level, but min-max on 7-9, which in my opinion is the most difficult stage, is going to lead to some pain, and it might take him a little while, but as the best Clustertruck player there is, I have the utmost confidence that he will be able to make it. And the way that you want to navigate having min-max affecting you is you really want to air strafe and move as if you were almost on a surf map. A lot of your control is going to come from your camera movement as opposed to your actual keyboard movement, seeing as how you lose keyboard control. So in this level, we have the need to sort of jump on trucks in the air, and I say sort of, but it's a literal need to jump on the trucks in the air. Interesting thing about this level is that the fan aiming down over the fans that are aiming to the right had to be introduced because there was a skip that was found where you could just grappling hook to the sideways fans as they push you away, and you could just wait there indefinitely, and it removed all elements of skill from the level. And obviously
there's a grappling hook skip that's still possible there, where you can just pull yourself straight through the fans.
Oh yeah, that is also a good point. That was found by, I think, like a really popular YouTuber. I can't remember who though.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you that sometimes speedrunning skips can be found on accident from just anyone. Not to say that, you know, big YouTubers are no one. But moving on, we have the steampunk world, which is also a very difficult world. I like the aesthetic a lot in this world. What do you think, Spades? I think the
aesthetic
washed
in
out
this
orange
level
look
is very
sort
cool.
of. I'm sorry, what was that?
The aesthetic in this level is very cool.
Yeah, this level is very cool, and I love you can hear the sound of, like, I don't know what it's called, but when the sort of platforms hit with each other, there's a resonant thud, which is very satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
That saying thud gave me a temporary lisp. Very dangerous word. I don't recommend saying it if you're ever on a live stream. Very, very good use of the truck boost there to get yourself back up on top, by the way. And the steampunk world makes for a lot of really good potential.
Double grab is on.
Portable truck boost skips, but these portable truck boost skips are ruined in some ways by having double grab, which will make some of these skips a lot more dangerous. But this will just, you know, force Spades to demonstrate his ability to complete the levels in more traditional ways.
You know,
perhaps.
This level's actually impossible with double gravity on.
It
actually is impossible.
Yeah, that
the
is
trucks
a good
can't
point.
make the jump.
You know what? You know what you have to do is you have to levitate your way and use the in fact, you just did it, at least on my screen. Also, it has been informed that it was actually Funhouse who found the grappling hook skip. So shouts out to Funhouse for helping out the speedrunning community like that. Very, very helpful of them. And as a setup, the final world will be the Hell World. And I think the Hell World is very interesting because it is arguably the most metal world. And a fun fact about the soundtrack from that level is originally the soundtrack designer Carl Floden, I recommend you should check him out on SoundCloud. He did the soundtrack for this game, obviously. The first track he developed for the Hell World was so good and it was so metal that it actually melted the faces off of those who listened to it as he was making the song, and eventually he had to scrap it because it was essentially like the Ark of the Covenant. You just can't keep it, so he sent it away to the vaults of SoundCloud deep where top men would protect that sound file, as its power is too great for humanity to understand yet. I think that's a very special aspect of Swedish sound design that, you know, at least I as an American will never be able to fully appreciate the power to kill with music, but hopefully someday we'll be able to better understand these forces and maybe even use them for good, sort of like in When Mars Attacks, when it's actually music that saves the day overall. And overall, double gravity, I think, without a doubt, is the most difficult modifier to have in general, and I think as a whole, it sort of forces you to understand how important air control in general is in this game. And as I mentioned earlier, air control is really important for navigating the different RNG elements, which although they aren't very present, it just goes to show you how much of a skill ceiling there is in this game. And I know that around the time of release, there was a lot of concern that this speed run would be all RNG. And at the time of the release, the best times were like hoping to get around, 25 minutes. That was a god tier time. And now Spades has managed to get 18:57 as the world record. And so if you're sort of worried about maybe the RNG element, I recommend watching, Ace of Spades speedruns. He's a very talented dude.
Thanks.
I love this level. What was that?
I said thanks again.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, no, I'm just glad you asked me to be here. Fun little fact about 8.8 is that level was originally incredibly difficult, and there was a lot of complaints that the level was almost impossible, and that was one of the ways people found out that there was a bug that when you're playing the game at 144 hertz, trucks are more susceptible to exploding due to contact. And so what would happen is a lot of the trucks would just explode before they could get to the end. And so the only way you could actually finish the level is with some clever use of the portable truck and a little bit of patience. But moving on, you see one of the most difficult aspects of the steampunk world is just its use of having these thick environmental aspects that if you touch them, will just straight up kill you. But moving on into the hell world, we can see this lovely volcano. And the volcano is really funny. From the outside, you're like, wow, that must have put a lot of time into making that. But during the low gravity bug, I actually went in and I looked, like, I wanted to see what was in the volcano, what sort of magma was going on, what sort of rocks were going into the equation. And it turns out it's just like a default Unity fire emitter with like just a cone shape around it. It's not as nearly impressive as I thought. I wanted a very high level amount of detail and attention brought to it, but that just goes to show you that all indie game developers are lazy. And that's right, Wilhelm, lead designer of the game and all the levels. I called you out. You won't say anything, you're too afraid. You know that Ace of Spades will just break your next game if you say anything. Anyways, moving on. It's pretty interesting, these swinging crosses that I'm sure will be off of the screen by the time I mention them. So we're just going to move on to 8.4. 8.4 is also lovingly known as a popcorn level, another level that was unfortunately impacted by the 144 hertz bug. Overall, I think it's a pretty fun level. It's kind of unique in some ways. I don't know. How do you feel about it, Spades?
It's definitely a cool level from a level design perspective, but I think you are actually much further behind than I thought, because I'm on the boss level now.
Oh, for real? Well, yeah. Okay then. Well, the thing... So moving on, fun little fact about 9.6. I have no idea how my commentary will be lined up with it, but the way 9.6 is structured is that you have these trucks that are impaled, and when you jump on them, if the sound is up high enough, you can actually hear the trucks scream when you touch them. So I'm actually really glad that you opted into touching the spikes, as these trucks don't need needlessly
time, by the way.
What was that?
Time.
Oh, time. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But these trucks don't need to suffer, because as you're about to see, these trucks are going to one place, and that one place is the final boss. And spoiler alert, that final boss, I don't know if you've already seen him, but he is a heck of a demon, really. He's the truck devil, made out of trucks. And, you know, these trucks are being called to him, no one knows why. Again, probably going to be answered in Clustertruck 2, who knows. But fun little fact about the final boss is that he's gone through many different iterations, many different designs, and for the specific skip that we have now, there were various skips over the course of the game, but as it stands, it is the only level that requires you, well, it doesn't require you, but it highly encourages you to skip to another, not skip, change to a grappling hook and use a grappling hook to navigate your way to the top of the boss in like under 15 seconds. And the way you do this is you turn to the right and you'll notice a phallic shape near the waist of the devil. But don't worry, you're not going to get banned on Twitch. No worries. Speedrun to change the world, because actually it's just this flamethrower. And then if you throw a portable truck on top of the flamethrower, and then you jump from the portable truck on top of the flamethrower, you grappling hook your way up to the trucks, you can manage to get to the climbing portion in which you can navigate your way to the green button. And by throwing a portable truck at the green button, it will fall down and press the button twice, and then it will cause the boss to explode, and you will ascend into heaven, and it is revealed that God is actually just a series of credits that features the people who work on the game and the people who have beta test it. And that's Clustertruck.
I redid the boss fight to catch up with your commentary.
Nice one.
Thank you. Yeah, very good run. Very solid.
Yeah,
What
that
the
was a
time?
lot better than I expected. Yeah, what was the time?
I missed the split by like 10 seconds. But
Oh,
it was
that's
like
fine.
23 something.
Wait, really? That's the lower. That's the lowest I've ever gotten in Twitch integration.
That was pretty impressive. I wanted to extend a quick apology. My Twitch was really behind in both streams, and I have no idea why. So I'm sorry if the commentary at any point didn't line up at all. That's on me.
Oh, you're
So-
perfectly fine. You're perfectly fine.
Yeah,
You're
your
great.
color commentary was great.
Commentary.
Oh, you guys. How about the other voice chat room if you'd like after this marathon is done, and we can continue this conversation. No, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks
This
for
is
joining,
a
dude.
Really great cause. Speedrun to change the world is awesome. Thank you everyone for hanging out in the chat and watching. You guys are awesome. You guys are the real heroes.
And thanks to
Also-
Rizzy for putting this thing together.
Yeah, Rezi. What a hero.
Thank you
Also,
guys.
yeah. Thank you again for having me. I hope you all have a good day or night wherever you are. And yeah.
All
was
right.
fun.
We'll
Next
see you
we've got
guys later.
Rocket Nut.